Hello and welcome to Sustainable Conversations. I'm Alan Matthews, Director at Earth Capital, and this is our first episode of Season 2. I'm delighted to welcome Tim Naughton to join us today. Tim is the founder and a director of Salinity Solutions, which is a highly innovative water treatment technology company. Tim, perhaps you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alan. I'm Tim Naughton, Technical Director and founder of Salinity. I set Salinity up 5 years ago, and before that, I was an academic working on developing the technology at the University of Birmingham. And over the last 5 years, really, my role has progressed there's been a lot of stages of the business, but my role now really focuses on IP security, making sure that we're targeting the right markets for the technology, where the product can add the most value, while making sure that we're doing the right product development and testing for our customers for the future value of the business.
Very good. Thank you. And I think perhaps it's the right time to ask you immediately that your technology has progressed very well from lab to commercial trials. And I thought it might be a little bit of fun to ask you about you yourself having made the same journey as the founder from lab to commerciality, whether you could say a few words about how you found that journey and what it's meant to you and to the business.
Well, for sure. Yeah. So I think the answers to this are probably quite the same as most people's, but it was a huge transition for me going from an academic into more of a business role where you're managing people, where you have to navigate the challenges of working and being a leader within a team. I think one of the things that springboarded Salinity in a lot of ways was bringing the right people in at the right time. So we got investment from a company whose model was to support me and to find the right people at the right time to accelerate the growth of the business. We kept the business model very hub and spoke, and we brought in a lot of people that were really experienced commercially. So our head of marketing and our commercial director came with a breadth of knowledge, which I got to learn off about how to manage the customer interactions, but also how to manage the team. But then one of the things about managing the teams is just about having the right people. So we brought from the university some absolutely fantastic people, where I think in most early companies, you are trying to embed knowledge into the team about how the technology works, which can be really complex. But the people we brought on board already had a lot of expertise in that area. And then we did obviously hire a few people along the way that were perfect in their field. So our head of engineering and a chemical engineer, both really experienced, and they were really good additions to the team, both technically and culturally. And then I think the other thing for the kind of founder journey is letting go. So I think everyone struggles with this a little bit, but the more the business grows, the more you need to let go to allow people to enjoy their work. So when you start the business, there's only a couple of people and you're doing everything. But I've really enjoyed this actually, but there have been challenging moments. The more you let go of things, the more you can see people like dig their teeth into the work and really excel and make it become theirs. And I think that's just the nature of any growing business. If you want the business to grow and be more reliable and you want to give people the responsibility, then it needs to be their responsibility. And that's when you really see the passion in them. But there is an element of it that being the founder, you do have to know a little bit about everything, but at the same time, knowing when to defer to someone's expertise in that domain. So I think they're the two things that have really stood out for me, the kind of transition from academia to management and the growth of the business and how to motivate the team members to take responsibility, but not just take responsibility, really see the passion in them for the work that they're delivering.
Yeah, sure. So I think that the support factor and the people you were able to surround yourself with is critical. It'd be interesting to know a little bit about. I think the technology came out of University of Birmingham, which is where you were. To what extent you look back now and see that as a big support function, and actually whether they still have a role even now, because as you say, the desire to keep on top of the technology must still very much be with you.
It is really with me. I think I'd struggle now to go back into academia and not focus on where the benefits of the technology lie. I think that's the kind of niche that I've fallen into, and where I guess you could call it the go-to-market strategy of the technology, aligning what the technology can deliver and where the product is now with what the market really needs and what benefits we can bring to specific customers. I get that. That's what I get out of bed in the morning to do. The university, I think there's quite a lot of companies that come out of universities or IP spin-outs that come from universities that feel like the shareholding of the university is kind of dead weight and they're not really supported by the university. But I don't feel that's the case for us. We've still, so Philip Davies, who's the professor behind the technology, it's still involved in the technical development. So he's constantly generating new ideas and IP that he comes to us with. And there's quite a lot of work that we've channeled towards his department. So we're situated quite close to the university, and any work that a customer comes to us with that the product's not quite ready to deliver or requires a little bit more investigation, we always funnel that towards Philip. So we've got quite a few projects ongoing with the university that we didn't want to take on ourselves because there wasn't immediate value in it for us, or it wasn't obvious where the value was lying. But we can stay close to that work. And also, I mean, we are involved in most of the recruitment through his department. So if there's any good employees that he has, any good postdocs, then there's a kind of funnel towards us, which is quite a lucky situation to be in with
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great.
yeah.
That effectively you've got a very good mechanism for topping up your intellectual property, both in terms of the technology and in terms of people as you go along, which is a really very good position to be in. Maybe time to say a little bit about the technology. I know that there are a lot of different aspects and applications for the technology, and it would be good to spend a little bit of time dwelling on those. But perhaps to start with, we should say what the focus of the company is right now and what you're looking to do in the next year to 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. So the focus of the company, we are keeping ourselves very much as a technology business. We want to keep our expertise within the domain of developing IP and license to partners that have the existing relationships with the customers and can get it out into the places where it's most valuable. We could turn ourselves into a company that will compete with the large players in our space, but it would take another 20 years, it cost another 50 million quid, and it would open us up to a huge range of risks, whereas our speciality is really developing the IP. Within the next 2 years, I see us not needing any more investment. We will have licensed the technology into multiple domains. So, for instance, one of the things we've done in the last 12 months is we set up a business unit in India. There was immediate value for our technology there, and there was regulations driving the adoption of, or driving the requirement to reduce water consumption and reduce energy. So within the next couple of years, I expect we'll have licensed the technology into multiple domains in different parts of the world, working exclusively with different partners in each region.
And the initial applications for the product in India and elsewhere, just a few words on that.
Yeah, so the product in India, we're focused on zero liquid discharge. So managing the treatment of industrial effluents and water reuse. We have work going with Suez, which is one of the biggest water treatment companies in the world. That's municipal water reuse, focused predominantly on Europe. Lithium, we're working in the salars in South America through one of our shareholders, SQM, and process water, starting in the UK, but the application for that spreads across Europe and North America. Well, the application for it is global, but the immediate need is Europe and North America.
Okay, and these are some big companies you're talking about. I think in the initial instance, sometimes it's hard for an innovative company to get its products into the market because there's resistance. And I think particularly in the water industry, it's well understood that water innovation can take a long time. How are you finding reception in those larger players, and what do you think's driving that area for you?
So it's a really interesting topic to start to dig into, the rate of adoption within the water sector. We did actually, at the beginning when we set the business up, we spent a couple of years without a clear go-to-market strategy. And it wasn't for lack of knowledge of where the technology had added value. It was because we didn't exactly understand where to focus the attention, because the challenges that we're solving for our customers weren't exactly public knowledge. So we put a huge amount of effort into the marketing for our business and making the technology famous. There was quite a defining moment where our marketing director, Jim, said, right, I'm going to make the technology famous, and went on a PR campaign. What that did was it stimulated a huge amount of inbound sales inquiries. So we were kind of lucky enough to be able to funnel those to where we believed we were solving the biggest problem for the customer. And there's also another point that with the water industry moving so slowly, obviously it's really important for a small business to focus, but if your customers can't move quickly enough and there isn't the cash flow within the business to support the rate of the customer's progress, you've got to diversify. So we've ended up working with or doing sales for multiple different regions with multiple different customers and taking on more than we initially thought that we would, but we've ended up in a position where we're quite quickly working with a lot of the biggest players in our sector.
Very good. Okay. So I think you're in a market that is showing increasing demand. I've got in front of me a report last month from the United Nations entitled "The World Enters an Era of Global Water Bankruptcy." So I suspect that your products are going to be very important in that space. You've got the immediate focus, which is great, but I think there are other areas that you can touch on in due course. And that's what is exciting about a company with the right intellectual property, that you can over time spread into other areas. Do you want to just touch on those a little bit?
Yeah, so we're focusing our development really on making sure we're taking the right steps that springboard our opportunities. So the municipal work we're doing with Suez, that is a long-term play, but the benefit that we can bring in that space is enormous. It's just not right now. And then we're doing some work with a company in America now, and I can't say who they are. But the trajectory for the technology in that space is to go and help with the likes of oil and gas and lithium mining. So the scale of those operations are absolutely huge, and it really adds value to the business being able to show that we're working in a market of that scale. But it's long term, and the work we're doing through zero liquid discharge in India, it's actually very similar from a product perspective. So we're using all the evidence that we've developed there to take forward into oil and gas.
Very good, Tim. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been a very enlightening conversation. I think there's always a lot more to say. So we look forward to reconnecting with you maybe in 9 to 12 months' time with Sustainable Conversations to see the progress at that point. But the company is clearly in demand. And thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alan.